The Tell Her, from Edgar Allan Poe.
True, nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I'm mad? The disease has sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe now, Headley, how calmly I can tell you the whole story.
It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, I haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. They had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this eye. One of these resembled that on a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over. Whenever I fell upon, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus write myself on the eye forever.
Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what discrimination I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dog lantern. Oh, close it, that no light shone out. And then I trusted my head. Oh, you will have very lauded to see how cunningly I trusted an end. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head between the opening sofa, that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ah, Walt! A madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern casually. Oh, so casually. Casually? For the thing struck it. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye, and this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who saved me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber, and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see he would have been a very profound old man in that to suspect that every night, just as 12, I looking upon him while he slept.
Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the excellence of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not the dream of my secret deeds of throws. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard of me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, and I started. Now, you may think that I drew black, but no, his room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were closed, fastened through fear robbers, and so I knew that he could not see the opening door, and I kept pushing it on steadily and steadily.
I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumbs light upon the thin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?"
I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the dead watches in the wall.
Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say, I knew it well. I knew that the old man felt and pitied him, although I choked at her. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single trip." Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unprevised shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, the full presence of heat within the room.
When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how still until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from the surface and full upon the vulture eye.
It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that shielded the very narrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face of person, for I had directed the rays of my instinct precisely upon the damned spot.
And now, have I not told you that what you mistake of madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now, I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as what makes me enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well too. It was a beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of the drum stimulates the soldier into courage.
But even yet I refrained, I kept still, I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo on the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. I grew louder. I say louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you I am very nervous. So I am, and now at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange and noise as this excited me to be uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder and louder. I thought the heart must be burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by the neighborhood. The old man's hours had come without a loud yell. I opened the lantern and leaped into the room. He struck once only. In an instant I dragged him to the floor, and I pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to the feet the deed so far done. But for many minutes the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it increased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there. Many minutes there was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His sigh would trouble me no more.
Are you still you think me mad? You will think so longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the conceal of the body. Then I wanted and I worked as hardly, but in silence. First of all, disassembled the clothes. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs.
I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scarlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cowardly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot wherever. I had been too wary for that. Atop that coffle, ha ha ha.
When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came knocking on the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart. But for what I know the fear, there was entered the 3 men, who introduced me themselves with perfect suavity, an officer of the police. A shriek had been heard by the neighborhood. During the night, suspiciously a foul play had been aroused. Information had been long, and the police office and the officer have been deployed to search the premises.
I smiled, for what had I to fear? But I bid the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in my dream. The old one? I mentioned what's absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them, at length. To his chamber I showed from them his treasures, sacred undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while, at my first, in the wild audacity of my perfect trump, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victims.
The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied ringing my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitively until at the length I found that the noise was not within my ears.
No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and without hated voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officer heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I aroused the argument about trifles in a high key, and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced on the floor and fro with heavy strides, as if I excited to fury by the observation of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated upon the boards, but the noise arose of all, and the continually increased.
It grew louder, 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 and still the man shouted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard? Not. Oh my God. No, 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 they heard. They suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think, but anything was better than my agony. Anything was more tolerable than this desertion. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I might scream or die. And now? Again? Hark! Louder, 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 louder. Billions, I shrieked.
Dissemble no more, I admit the deed. Tear up the planks here, here, it is beating of his hideous heart.